Where are the Stacey apologists? Hmm? Hmm? Stacey's not being bullied. She's being caught up in her own lies. All of them. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Tammy. This is Tammy Talks. Let's talk the Real Housewives of Potomac, season 10, episode 8. They didn't give an episode title. Not one that I could find, at least. So it's just episode 8, all right? Before we get started, y'all, make sure you guys are thumbsing up the video, subscribing to the channel, hyping, commenting, all that type of stuff, all right? So we start off where we left off, where Monique is confirming that Chris is her ex-husband to Keiarna. Keiarna, baby, I'm gonna be real with you. This might be your last season, cause like you are, cause you tried to be messy in this moment for literally no reason. And I get it, Keiarna has an issue with Stacey, but like this was stupid for you to even try, right? So Stacey is like, wow, okay, as we all were, cause what are you doing? What are you doing? Stacey said in her confessional that she knows Chris socially. No, no. Stacey, we saw 2 episodes ago where you were talking to Ashley and Tia on the nanny cam and you admitted to going out on a couple of dates with Chris. Knowing somebody socially is somebody that you see in passing at a party, at an event, and you know them there. Going on a date with somebody, a couple of dates, is not knowing somebody socially. I don't understand why Stacey is doing this much lying. I don't understand why the audience is okay with it, but I don't understand why Stacey is lying to this degree. Girl, just say you had a couple dates with Chris. So Monique said, well, we've been divorced for 2 years. I would expect him to date. Keiarna looks stupid. Monique said in her confessional that, yeah, Chris is, well within his rights to date. She doesn't care who he dates as long as he's okay, as long as she is okay with the children. As long as, Stacey or whoever is not going to mistreat my kids, Chris is free to date whoever he wants to date. Ashley is telling Stacey that she is happy for her business, and she said she was a little put off by it being a Nigerian word, a Yoruba word. So time out. Some of y'all in my comments that are Nigerian, you guys said that the translation is wrong and that Shayo does not mean happy. That's what the Nigerians were saying in my comments. Now, Wendy is taking it to mean happy. So I don't know who's wrong or who's right. I'm gonna go off of what they're saying on the show, okay? So Wendy is telling Stacey, look, girl, if you're gonna use a Nigerian word, at least pronounce it correctly. Because Tia and Wendy both are like, when I guess she's pronouncing it wrong. So Ashley turns to Angel and said, this is just another instance of Stacey not being genuine. It's another instance of her being caught in a lie, and it honestly and truly is. So Angel, for whatever reason, Angel tries to ask Stacey about the social justice aspect. Girl, shut up. We don't care about that. I was with Stacey. Girl, going somewhere. Bye, Angel. Bye, Angel. Like, what are you even asking her that for? Apparently, Gizelle did not know that they were on a GNA float, but said, okay, girl, sure. So after the parade, they're all sitting down talking, and Gizelle tells Monique that she did not expect to see her, but her energy and her vibe are good. Monique feels the same about Gizelle. Wendy is like, okay, girl, so things are a little different from the last time we saw you with Chris. And, last time we saw Monique, she was married happily married to Chris. Monique said that was, the image that we were trying to portray, and when in fact, she was not being loved properly. And I want to pause right here and say, this is why whenever people like to say on these reality shows, at least she got a husband, at least she's married, it really means nothing. Because y'all were saying that about Gizelle at the time. Y'all were saying that about Robin at the time when Robin was not married to Juan yet. At least Monique's married. She has a husband when in fact we know that they had a horrible marriage, right? They didn't have the best marriage. Monique is now admitting that she wasn't being loved the way that she felt that she should. She even goes on to say that when her daughter was 6 months old, her now 10-year-old daughter was 6 months old, she felt that she could not do this anymore. Which is why the whole at least I got a man, she got a man, I got a husband, I got the ring. It always falls flat because we don't know the truth about what somebody is going through behind closed doors. Monique told Gizelle that back when they were in France, that Gizelle told her some real shit that came out to be true. And at that time, Monique was saying that whenever it was her birthday, that Chris would always kind of pick an argument with her. There was always a fight. And Gizelle told her, do you think that maybe it's because Chris is used to being in the limelight? Chris is the celebrity. It's all about him in the family because he was at the time an NFL. Well, he was a retired NFL player, and now Monique was stepping into her own. She was, becoming probably in day-to-day life more famous than him because she was on the Housewives, right? And Gizelle was saying that when you step into your own limelight, you were taking that attention away from Chris. And Monique like really embraced that sentiment at the time. She didn't like, jap out at Gizelle or anything about it. And Monique was like, I took what you said and it makes a lot of sense now. So Tia is asking Monique, so what was the straw that broke the camel's back? I'm gonna be real with y'all. I'm glad that we got all of this out the way with Monique now in this episode, so we're not getting bits and pieces about her life throughout the rest of the season. Even though she is just a friend of, I believe Monique's not a official. Yeah, she's not an official housewife. So Monique said that whenever Chris wanted something, he would be overly nice, meaning whenever he wanted some, okay? And she said she tested it out one night. They had sex. When he was done, he rolled over and it was nothing. And she said the next morning she told him, you will never enter me again. I said, not enter, you will never enter me again. And she said she meant that shit. I said, okay. And she said, actually, the ladies being on the show added years to her marriage because she was arguing. It's some hair on my face. She was arguing with them instead of arguing with Chris. Okay. So we pan over to Angel. Angel is out with Bobby, and they are, oh my God. Okay. Angel is out with Bobby and they are house hunting. And when Bobby went into them people's bathroom and used it, I cringed. I don't know why, but it was something like, you couldn't go before y'all left the house. Why y'all in this? It's not a big deal, I know, but I was still like, oh my God. So it was a beautiful house, gorgeous house. Angel feels it's not big enough for them because they have a lot of family over. Girl, we have seen 3 people at your house so far, but cool. Cool. So they are taking their time with finding a house, which you should. She said it took them 4 years to find the house in Colorado, and they have always envisioned being bi-coastal. And she said Colorado and then DC. I know it's a figure of speech in most cases, but Colorado and DC is not being bi-coastal. It's just not. It's just not. Colorado is damn near, it's in the mountains. It's not fine. So she's sitting down with Bobby and they're talking, and she's like, oh, you can, listen to me vent and rant about the ladies. Bobby didn't care, but he's a good sport. Angel said that now she feels more of a sense of how to kind of navigate and move with the ladies. And I'm like, do you? Do you, Angel? So Angel feels that she does not like Gizelle calling her a catfish. I'm sick of hearing about this shit at this point, Angel. We are on episode 10. No, 8? We are on episode 8. You filtered le fuck out of your pictures, okay? And I feel like the reason you're harping on this is because you know it's true. If the pictures were not filtered and it was really your face in your full and authentic original essence, you would not be harping on this. Get over it. Like, is this your storyline? The catfish? Damn, girl. So, my God. So, but then she gets weird and she's like, and I didn't like that Wendy threw sauce on what Gizelle was saying. She laughed about it. And it's hard for me to let things go. Look, one, you're too upset at Wendy about this. Wendy laughed the same way that Ashley laughed at the table about it. And it has to be that, like, what has happened with you and Wendy in a previous life? So what happened at college? What happened at school? That you have this much of a visceral hatred for Wendy. Now we know that Kay has the issue with Wendy. Is this you really riding for Kay like this? Or what is some backstory about what's going on with you and Wendy? Because this is weird at this point. So Bobby then says, and I agree with Bobby, at the end of the day, it's not that serious. It's not that serious. You are a 30-something odd year old woman married with what, two kids, and you're crying about somebody saying that you filtered your pictures a couple of weeks ago. You were embarrassed because it was true. You were embarrassed because it was true. Okay? So we get to Gizelle. Gizelle is out to lunch with Ashley, Kay, and Tia, and we find out that Reasonably Shady has reached 10 million downloads. Y'all were saying nobody was listening to it. Somebody listening to that shit. So she is planning a Reasonably Shady party to celebrate. I said, they gonna let Rob back on the show? Let me find out Robin about to be back on the show. Tell me something. I got excited for him. I said, bring Rob on back. Let's get the Green Eye Bandits back together. Just to piss off people. So we moved past that quickly. Kay said that Cookie called her. And I said, why is Cookie such a friend of this season? But according to Cookie, Chris called her and said that he heard Monique was trash talking him. Talking about he wasn't satisfying her sexually, and he was this, that, and the other to her. So now we're figuring out that Stacey called Chris and told Chris what Monique said at the World Pride event, and this is a scheme that Todd set up to come to y'all with the bullshit. I said, what are we doing, ladies? I'm gonna get on Stacey in a minute. But Cookie, do you want to be on the show? Cookie, do you want a cookie? Like, what's happening? Come on now. So then Stacey, here's the thing. Stacey, if you called Chris and became run tell that, what the fuck are you doing? Do I believe that Stacey called Chris to do that? Kinda. I'm not 1000% sold, but I'm like 75.29% that I believe Stacey did do it. So Gizelle said there should have never been a moment where what we discussed when we were having a girl moment that ran back and left this circle and went to Chris. And truth be told, if we're sitting out and I'm with some ladies and we're lamenting and we're ranting and venting about our husbands and our boyfriends, and one of their asses finds out about it, who broke girl code? We know nobody else in that group called Chris. We know Gizelle ain't called Big Boy. We know Ashley didn't call Chris. We know Wendy didn't. The rest of the ladies don't know Chris. So it had to have been Stacey. In the way that Stacey is making it seem as if her and Chris are just really good friends. Or was it Angel? Angel said that, Chris was Bobby's mentor back in the day. It had to happen Angel or Stacey. It was one of the two. And Angel has no skin in the game for her to run back and tell Chris anything about Monique because she doesn't know Monique. So Wendy and Monique sit down to talk. We know we never got to see a real budding friendship with the two of them. Wendy was apparently the first person to reach out to Monique after the fight. So Wendy said, she wasn't going to reach out and set up anything with Monique because Monique beat up her friend. Since when are you and Candace friends? Like, Wendy and Candace are friends based in convenience, and you can't convince me of anything else. But Monique said that she felt that the vibe and the energy was nice and was good with everybody, so she wants to move forward. Wendy said that she now considers Gizelle a friend and thinks that Monique and Gizelle should have a conversation. Now, I know that that just hurt a lot of people's colorless brains that Wendy considers Gizelle a friend. That bothers y'all. I think it's hilarious, but that bothers y'all. But truth be told, we can tell that there is some type of cordiality. Is that a word? There's some type of something between the two of them because with all the stuff that Pam Oliver and Eddie Hennessy are going through right now, Gizelle has not been shading them. She's been very fair. She hasn't been trashing them on the Reasonably Shady. If she has, it would have been all up and down the blogs by now. I think that they have a mutual understanding and they're willing to move forward with it for the sake of the show and probably just for the sake of peace, right? So Monique said that sometimes forgiving somebody does not mean reconciliation, but she is open to having a conversation with Gizelle as well. Wendy explains her relationship with Karen and how Karen was talking cash shit about her last year, then at the reunion that she cowardly skipped to check herself into rehab to try to get a lesser sentence, when she was drunk driving. She said that, Karen sent in that video message where she thanked everybody in the group, but did not thank Wendy. And Wendy felt the way about that. And Wendy should have felt the way about that because truth be told, we all watched last season. And the only person that 1000% every single time Karen in her situation came up that had her back with no jokes and no underhanded compliments was Wendy. Wendy 1000%, 10 toes down, stood by Karen. So for Karen to do that is crazy. Kind of crazy. But Karen has never liked Wendy. Remember, Karen was the colorist that was saying Wendy didn't fit the aesthetic of the group. Karen was. Remember the first season that Wendy came on? Karen didn't want Wendy on the show. Back when Gizelle and Robin were Wendy's friend. So Monique does not like Cookie, okay? Apparently Monique knew Cookie Karen knows Cookie through Monique. Monique met Cookie at one of Chris's birthday parties where Cookie lied and said that she was, I don't want to mess up his name, but like the originator of go-go music. I can't think of his name right now, but Cookie said that she was his daughter, and that's a lie. Monique calls Cookie a demonic entity and said that whenever Cookie is around and Monique's name was brought up, she's going to talk shit about her. I said a demonic entity is crazy. Crazy, right? They then pivot to talk about the new girls. Monique feels that the new girls are a little passive, and it's like, I didn't know you were, Wendy, that you were the mouthpiece. Wendy said that she's tired of the gang up on Stacey. Stacey is a liar. They're not ganging up on her, they're calling out her lies. There's a difference. Wendy feels that Stacey needs to acknowledge that the way she moves in the group has people looking at her sideways because Stacey is lying. Stacey is lying. And she's moving funny in the group because she's lying. Monique gives Wendy some real advice and said that Stacey is doing a lot. And you maybe need to take a step back and see who she is. Maybe. Monique feels that Stacey is trying to become Wendy. I don't agree with that. But I do think that Wendy needs to kind of take a step back and look at the total picture. Stacey is out with Timo and her daughter at her daughter's swim practice, Arabella. So Tia is there because Stacey trusts her to not be judgmental. Of who? Timo? Timo doesn't want to meet the group, and Stacey is like, y'all know how the girls in this group get down. I thought they were going to give a montage of all the husbands that have been attacked, but they didn't. So Tia is inviting Timo to dinner with her and her husband, and Timo don't want to go, so he lies and said, well, I have to go out of town. And Tia was like, oh, so are you coming to Gizelle's event? And Stacey was like, he won't be back in time. Instead of Stacey just being 1000 with it and saying, Timo don't want to be around these heifers, she lies. This is what I mean by Stacey lies for no reason. Yes, maybe it's, if y'all want to phrase it, that she withholds information. She omits information. Stacey lies, though. Stacey is a liar, and I can't respect people that can't be straight up about shit. Just tell the ladies Timo don't want to be around y'all. What are they gonna say? But okay. So Timo leaves because he's clearly uncomfortable, right? I don't think Timo wants Stacey on the damn show. So Tia brings up Monique, trying to kind of fill her out, and she asks Stacey once again, "How do you know Chris Samuels? Has he ever talked about his divorce?" Stacey would say, "I just know him socially." Again, if you dated somebody, that is not knowing somebody socially. Tia then said that she wanted to give Stacey the benefit of the doubt, but that is now turning to ash. Stacey is saying that she doesn't think Timo is at that level of comfort to yet meet the other ladies. I understand not wanting to bring your husband around Gizelle or Ashley's messy asses. 1000% agree with that. But there is no reason why you cannot go on a double date with Tia and her husband. There's no reason. Tia has done nothing that would give you the indication that she's going to run back and be messy. Stacey then said that when Gizelle brings her man around the group, then maybe she'll bring Timo. Mic drop, because that's not going to happen. Gizelle. So Gizelle is at the venue seeing how things are going to be set up for the Reasonably Shady event. I was like, why Grace on the show again? Shouldn't Grace be in school? Maybe it's the summer. But Grace is apparently working with Brant, who is an event planner. So she's helping out with setting up the event. We find out Robin ain't coming. I said, so the Reasonably Shady isn't coming? Cancel the event. Now, Gizelle said Robin feels a way about how she left the show. I.e., Robin is pissed she was fired. Look, now I like Robin, right? I've always liked Robin. Robin don't bother me. But truth be told, Robin, you lied about the whole situation with Juan. You purposely withheld it. And then on a show that you were getting paid to talk about your life, and then you went and talked about it behind your individual paywall on Patreon. Hell yeah, they fired your ass. Now, I still stand very 10 toes down that Robin and no woman is going to come on the show and be like, yeah, Juan was cheating on me with this other heifer and all this other type of stuff. Yes, nobody expects Robin to have done that, but Robin had to have known she was going to get fired. I think another part of the reason Robin was fired from the show is because they wanted to bring new energy in the show, and I think they wanted to give Gizelle a better edit and a better chance at the show. Gizelle is 1000% more likable without Robin there because Gizelle was forced to interact with the other ladies. But I feel like Robin, this was ain't Gizelle your friend? Like, I don't understand Robin not showing up. To me, this means that Robin is never coming back on this damn show. Because if Robin would have at least showed up, that would be like, okay, maybe we'll see Robin back in some capacity. But Robin being like, fuck you and I don't know why that was so funny to me. I said, damn, Robin, you big mad, ain't you? So Wendy and Tia, or excuse me, Pam Oliver and Eddie Hennessy are out with Tia and her husband. And we find out that Tia lied about her age, I guess, when she met Rob and when she was dating him, something like that. And then she used to say that she was Cuban because she said it sounded more exotic when she was at that all-white boarding school. Lying as a teenager, different than lying as an adult, okay? So Tia said that she invited Stacey and her husband, but ex-husband, boyfriend, boo thing, whatever he is. But Tia said that Stacey told her that he was out of the country. So Tia dropped some tea that Stacey said that she felt that she was the safest to meet Tio. Is that his name? Timo? What did I call him? Tia felt that, Stacey said Tia was the safest to meet Timo. Is that? Y'all know what I mean. So Wendy is offended by this because she's been rocking and rolling and defending and being Captain Save-A-Ho when it comes to Stacey. So she calls Stacey off rip. Boop, 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 boop. Calls her and let's get to the bottom of it. Stacey said that Timo was not ready for the big introduction. That's why he's not there at the double date. Tia said, you told me he was out of town. Stacey lies and said, well, he just flew in this morning. That's not what you said. That's not what you said. So Wendy brings up the fact that Stacey apparently told Tia that she was the safest person. Stacey said, Tia, I don't appreciate you causing friction with me and Wendy. Wendy, you are my closest friend in the group, and I regret introducing Timo to Tia. I love you, and I'll talk to you later. And I'm like, see, but y'all are still gonna defend Stacey. Y'all are still gonna defend Stacey, and y'all are gonna swear Stacey's being bullied when she's really just getting caught up in her own lies. This is peak Housewives behavior. I'm gonna tell you, right? That somebody said that I'm the safest person and they trust me the most. That's not bullying. That's calling a spade a spade. Stacey got caught up in her lies, and instead of her being real and owning up to it, now she's mad at Tia. Tia did absolutely nothing wrong, right? So Tia mentions how Angel feels that Wendy was cold and distant. I said, Angel girl, get the fuck. Get all the fucks in the world. Go find you something to do. Go find you something safe to play with. So we see a flashback of where Angel said that Wendy set the tone at that dinner and not Gizelle. What? Gizelle brought up that your pictures don't look like you. Gizelle called you the catfish. Wendy was translating, and little you know, half of she's calling you a catfish. How did Wendy start this? So Wendy is like, Angel is dedicated to having an issue with me, and she is. Again, something must have happened in college. Like, what's really going on? Wendy then feels that Angel needs validation, and I agree. I agree. And Wendy said that grown women don't argue about stuff like this. Housewives do. Grown women in the real world, I would never be arguing with nobody about a filtered picture, but on the Housewives, that's what y'all do. So we get to Reasonably Shady, the event that is just, I guess, the shady event. Because Robin's not there, okay? So Tia immediately tells Gizelle, Keiarna, and Charisse about Stacey's lies. Angel runs up on Gizelle and was like, how can we get to know each other better? I'm so sick of Angel. And she then said that Wendy laughing is of a mercurial nature. They put the definition on the screen. Gizelle was like, I don't know what that word means. I don't know if she knows what the word means. Gizelle also clocks that in her confessional that Angel is a person that has a very delayed reaction to everything. And it's given that, because why are we still talking about this? We have been back in DC for how long? Girl, give it a rest. Save it for the reunion at this point. Wale from Love Hotel. Y'all slept on Love Hotel. Love Hotel was a good show. It was entertaining. It was cute. It's coming back next season with Portia. Maybe y'all will watch it with Portia. But I thoroughly enjoyed Love Hotel. But on Love Hotel, Wale was one of the guys that was interested in Ashley. The way he was like, where's Robin? These flowers are for her. These flowers are for Robin. I said, Gizelle, why did you invite him? Messy all around. So he didn't want to speak to Ashley, pays Ashley dust. Ashley was playing with him on the show. Truth be told, okay? So Vivian is there. We know that Stacey has beef with Vivian because she said that Vivian was putting her in clothes that other people wore. Ain't she a stylist? But okay, they didn't really show Vivian's face. I really was hoping Vivian came back to the show. Truth be told, I liked Vivian last season. Robin not being there is so embarrassing because Gizelle has to give a speech by herself. Gizelle was fumbling through, saying how Robin's just not here last minute. No, you knew she wasn't coming. Wendy was like, this is like going to see the Supremes and it's just Diana Ross. That was a bad example because Diana was the star, but I see what Wendy was saying. So then we get these jokes of Robin being on the couch, and then Bravo finds the most shady flashback. Remember when Robin was like low-key depressed and she was always in bed and she's reaching out under the covers to turn off her alarm? That's the flashback they give of Robin. I said, they not letting you come back to the show. So Now Jesse made a joke about that. Jesse, I don't think that was for you to make a joke about, but okay. We see Cookie come in. I feel like Cookie wasn't dressed properly for the event. Looked like she had a t-shirt on, but that's fine. So Stacey is telling Tia that Tia is one way when they are together and they talk, and another way in the group. Tia said no. I am interested. No, I was interested in having a friendship with you, right? Stacey gets called out for her lie and then tries to deflect. Tia said, don't let the accent fool you. Stacey starts clapping to deflect from the part that Tia is about to blow up her lies, right? So then all of a sudden, Gizelle was like, that's rude. That's rude. Kay said, well, let's talk about what real friends do. And I'm like, Keiarna, I just get so whenever her and Angel talk. So Keiarna brings up how Stacey called Chris and told him everything that Monique said at the table the other day. Stacey is like, what are you talking about? Why would I say that? Who else would have said it though? How else? Like honestly and truly though, let's be 1000%. Unless Keiarna's lying. Unless Keiarna is lying. Now, wait a minute. Wait. Could it be that Kay told Cookie what Monique said to lie on Stacey? Somebody said something. It's either Keiarna or it's Stacey. Somebody broke girl code at that table. I mean, it was going to be on TV anyways, but somebody broke girl code at that table. So, Cookie is like, you called him and you told him talking to Stacey. Wendy now is besties with Monique, and it's like, I'm uncomfortable because if we're talking about Monique, Monique should be here. Wendy also lets us know, and everyone else, that Monique told her if Cookie is around, Cookie is going to trash her. So I guess we need to get some more backstory on why Monique and Cookie fell out. That's what we need to get more backstory about. Right? So Stacey kept pointing her finger at Cookie. And Cookie was like, stop pointing your finger at me. Stacey said, let me get closer so I can point my finger wherever I want to point my damn. I'll give Stacey this. She don't back down. When people tell her stop doing some shit, she keeps doing it. So Cookie tells her that you need to go take a bath with your funky ass. I said, oh Lord. Oh God. So Cookie's escorted out because now you're doing too much. So Stacey said to Kay, no matter how many times you say it, does not make it true. And she said, and Kay, usually, you're at a 0, but I guess now you're at a 2. Hey, boo, welcome. I said, ooh. So now Kay is like, I would never trust you around my husband. Stacey said, well, you don't have one. I said, God damn. Truth be told, Stacey, you don't have no husband either. You're the first. But still, like, you could tell that cut Kay like a knife. And that we were to be continued. Keiarna, this is twice that you flopped in one episode, baby. That might be a record. Twice. Let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Y'all still defending Stacey? Where are the Stacey apologists? Where are they? Y'all still defending Stacey? Oh, God. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Have a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and I will catch you guys next week. Peace.